Oh, Super Heavy Samurai is for bitches. Hey, what's up, guys? Mirage Knight here, coming at you with a really cool dual video and deck profile, as you can see here. So, as you know, I am a huge fan of the Super Heavy Samurais. So, what I did is I took the deck and took its main core engine, which is the rank 4 engine, and a little bit of the synchro engine, and threw it into, or rather mixed it with the Metalphosis monsters to create a deck that I call Heavy Metal. So it's a really cool deck, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So first we're going to go through the deck list, and then we're going to watch a replay against Infernoids. But let's get into the deck profile first, and I'll explain a little bit about it as I go through. So first things first, we run 3 of each of the Metalphosis. So 3 Volflame, 3 Gold Driver, 3 Silverbird, and then 3 Steel Ren. So they have a 1 to 8 scale, which is really, really good. And then we run 2 copies of the Vector Pendulum and 1 copy of the Luster Pendulum, just to take a little bit of advantage of the Draco engine. But you don't really need to use the Draco engine in order to bust out the Synchro and the Fusion for them, but it just helps a little bit with the consistency of the deck, so we run that as well as 2 copies of Draco Face-Off down here, just to help with that. But then we run 2 copies of Magical Abductor. This card is actually really, really cool. You just play it in your P scales, and then it's a scale 3. So Luster Pendulum is really the only scale that you would not want to have because he is a scale 5. But Vector's a scale 3, and Magical Abductor is a scale 3, which are low scales. So that's pretty good to go with your scale 8s, because you can still summon level 4 monsters. So what Magical Abductor does, it's kind of like Library, where if 3 spell cards are activated, she gets 3 counters. But there is absolutely no limit to the number of counters she can have on her. So you can remove 3 counters to add any Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, and that effect can only be used once per turn. So she is really, really awesome in that regard, where you can just get extra searches off from your opponent activating spell cards or you activating spell cards. But now to the bread and butter of the deck is the Super Heavy Samurai. So we run 3 copies of Soul Piercer, obviously 3 copies of Magnet, and then 3 copies of Scales, along with 2 copies of Drum. I picked the Super Heavy Samurais simply because they work better with the Metalphosis inherently. Now, Soul Piercer, when it's destroyed, you can add any Super Heavy Samurai monster from your deck to your hand. So this is kind of like Deneb, but instead of being summoned, it has to be destroyed in order to get your effect. Now, the good thing about that is you can use the Metalphosis monsters to destroy it, get its effect to add, but then also you get the Metalphosis Fusion. This card is also searchable by Geargigant X. That's one of the main reasons why Super Heavy Samurais were run over Satellar Knights. And also, Super Heavy Samurais have the uncanny ability to make Naturia Beast, which is also really, really well as using Drum as a level 1 tuner with Volflame, which you search out quite often, you can make Ignister. So those are just a few of the reasons why I run the Super Heavies, as well as Magnet's ability, where while it's on the field, your opponent can only target Magnets for attack, and then Super Heavy Samurai Scales, when it's summoned, you can special summon any Super Heavy that's 4 or lower from your graveyard to your side of the field, but if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters and you control none, you can special summon him from your hand free of cost. So that is like the Cyber Dragon effect, so that is really great, as well as Drums when it's destroyed by battle, or actually not even by battle. If it's destroyed on the field at all, you can special summon any Super Heavy Samurai from your graveyard to your side of the field. So if you have a Scales in your graveyard and this in your hand, and say a Metalphosis monster on your side of the field, you can normal summon Drums. This is the only card that cannot be Pendulum summoned in the entire deck. You can normal summon Drums, blow it up, and then get your Scales back, and then Scales can summon back Drums, and then you can go for Naturia Beast. So that is a quick little play that you can do if you're out of options and you really just need a bigger monster on the field. You can just make Naturia Beast very easily like that. Next up for the spell lineup, as you can see, is mostly monsters because the rank 4 engine is quite large, but it is very quick on its feet. So we run 2 copies of Painful Decision that search out both your lower level, actually any of the Metalphosis monsters, including the Vector Pendulum. It'll search out Vector Pendulum, it'll search out your Gold Drivers, it'll search out your Silverbirds, and it'll search out your Steel Wren. So we run 2 copies of those. And then 2 copies of Summoners are to search out Metalphosis Volflame because it's a level 5 or higher. Also, we run 3 copies of Metalphosis Fusion. Really, really great spell card. When it's sent to the graveyard once per turn, you can shuffle it back into your deck to draw 1 card. So that's very helpful. Like I said, 2 copies of Draco Face Off. Would be a little bit better if we could run 2 Lusters, but we can't now. But I don't really mind. I never really liked the Draco engine anyway, but I'm using it for the sake of what it is. And then we run 3 copies of the trap card, Metalphosis combination. Now, a lot of people say that this card isn't too good. I wish it were a spell, a continuous spell, that would have made the deck a whole lot better. But at the same time, it's okay that it's a trap because like you can activate it on your opponent's turn. Again, you can go back to the if it was a spell card, you could activate it on your turn, wait for your opponent to do something, and it would just make the deck a lot better. It would be faster. But we can't always get what we want. If it was a spell card, maybe R&D would have found something and it would have been broken. But it's a trap card, nonetheless. But what it does is when a fusion monster is summoned, and that's you or your opponent's fusion monsters, you can special summon any Metalphosis monster from your graveyard whose level is less than the level of the monster that was summoned. And that includes your own fusion monsters. So that is really, really amazing. And then also, if it would be destroyed, hint, hint, you can add any Metalphosis monster from your deck to your hand. So you use that. So it's actually a +2, or this card is actually a +1. You destroy it, you get maybe another one or your Metalphosis fusion, and then you get the Pendulum monster to your hand. Same with Soul Piercer. Soul Piercer is also a +1, where in Superheavy Samurai is only a break even, where you use it, you destroy something, you get a card to your side of the field, and then you add something to your hand. So really, really great, and it sets up for more plays. So moving on from the main deck, we run 2 copies of Daigusto Emerald, 1 copy of Magister Paladin, simply because it searches out a Pendulum monster. We use it for no other reason. But Daigusto Emerald, 2 Emerald is really good, especially when you come down to Metalphosis Cardinal, which is a vanilla fusion, which is a non-effect monster. So if you can make a rank 4 and you have Cardinal in your grave, you can Daigusto Emerald your Cardinal back to the field, which is actually really, really cool. So it actually kind of helps the deck a little bit that this is a vanilla and not an effect monster. Next up, we run 1 copy of Castel, 1 copy of Gear X, Utopia, Ray, and Lightning, 1 Nat Beast, 2 copies of Ignister Prominence, and then 2 copies of Metalphosis Orahulk. This card is actually really, really great. If it lasts on the field while you have this card on, and you're able to Pendulum summon your Metalphosis monsters back, what you can do is you can use him as part of your fusion summon for a Metalphosis monster being Cardinal, and then you can summon Cardinal using Orahulk, use this card to summon Orahulk back, and then because Orahulk was sent from the field to the graveyard, you can then destroy 1 card on the field. So you can blow shit up, and you can get 2 monsters out for the price of 1. It's a really, really great combination that you can use, hence Metalphosis combination. The name is kind of obvious. And then for the side deck, we run 3 copies of Wavering Eyes. I hate this card, but you know what? It's necessary. Because if you're going up against another Pendulum deck that main decks it, you're probably going to lose. But I just don't have the room in the deck to main 3 Wavering Eyes, so I just don't. Plus, Wavering Eyes isn't too good for this deck simply because I'm not running. It's not Pepe. You know, Wavering Eyes is really good for Pepe and Cleefort. Not good for this deck. 1 copy of Soul Charge just because it's a good card. 3 Veiler, 3 Maxi, 2 Ghost Ogres, 2 Fog Kings, and then last but not least, that Shape Snatch. So let's get into the replay here. So again, we're facing off against Infernoids. This guy ends up quitting, so unfortunately I don't really reduce his life points to 0, but you can see very quickly how the deck plays. So start off with a painful decision. And I don't open up with the best hand because I open up Scales and Soul Piercer, but that's okay. He destroys the Soul Piercer anyway. I get a Magnet. So now I'm set up for really nasty plays. So I just keep adding and adding and adding. He uses Decatron to banish this card. I have no idea why he did that, but he did. So I Pendulum Summon. This is where the Superheavy Samurais really shine. So basically, I have my rank 4 engine all here. So you see how that works. So even if I opened up with a pair of Scales and this card, I could actually go for a rank 4 play plus some, because I could just literally normal summon this, blow it up, get a Metalphosis spell, get Scales, special Scales, get Soul Piercer back, and then overlay. For like Gear Gigant X, add something back to my hand, and then maybe, and that's with having 4 cards in your hand. That's a 4-card combo that gains you a +2, and then then you have another card in your hand that you can use to surge. Maybe it might be Draco Face-Off, which nets you a +1, and things like that, where you can Pendulum Summon, use everything like that. So the deck can make a lot of pluses very quickly with the Superheavy Samurai engine. So now I have both of my cards down. I go ahead and make Ignister. I go ahead and make Gear Gigant X, and then add a Scales back to my hand. So this replay is running a little bit slow, probably because I have some apps running, but it doesn't really matter. So you can see obviously that this deck is just on my second turn, he's just down to 1,000 life points, just like that. And the Superheavy Samurais made that possible. This deck would not run as well without them. I've tried running it without the Superheavy Samurais. The Yang Zings do a good job, but in my opinion, Yang Zings don't do as well. Yang Zings are more synchro based, and the rank 4s outclass the synchros 10-1. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So he misplays right here, and I think he meant to attack over Luster, because he actually could have broken my whole field that turn, but it doesn't really matter because this is heavy metal versus it doesn't matter. So even if he would have blown up my whole field, I would have got the whole thing back, because now I had my Scales set back up. I could have Pendulum Summoned 4, and then I had the Metalphosis Fusion, and I could have just gone off and finished him off right there, but that was the deck running for you guys. Sorry I don't have better replays. I wish I did, but unfortunately I don't. Not with this build anyway. It's getting hard to find replays, good replays, because simply if I open up with Draco Face-Off and I activate Draco Face-Off, they quit, because they don't even want to deal with the Draco engine. It doesn't matter what it's being run in, because I consider this a Superheavy Samurai deck simply because that is the primary engine that is being used, both to make Ignister, all of the rank 4s. You use the Super Heavies to make your Metalphosis fusions. The Super Heavies make this entire extra deck possible. Without them, you would not be able to summon anything from the extra deck. Well, granted, you could summon your Metalphosis monsters from the extra deck, but you would need fodder in order to get these cards to do it. So Superheavy Samurais are that fodder that net you pluses off of that. You could be running Palomaru, but Palomaru isn't searchable from from a whole rank 4 engine. You actually have to make your King of the Feral Imps in order to even do that. So it's just, the Superheavy Samurais actually make this deck. I'd like to see this deck take off a little bit, but not too much, because I actually still need to buy all this stuff. Painful Decisions are expensive. I don't know how much Draco Face-Offs are. This card's expensive-ish. These cards are expensive because this card got limited. And I don't know what rarities these are going to be coming out in. So they're either going to be like Ignites and be kind of pricey, or they're just not going to be. So with that being said, pro tip of the day, learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube. I'm just coming up with these off the top of my head. I don't ever plan these in advance. Learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube because they're fun. I'd recommend getting a Feng Shi Shuang Ren simply because they're the best cube that I can think of. They don't fall apart. They're really smooth. And solving a Rubik's Cube isn't really that hard. So to finish out, go check out those Illuminati. They are always watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you guys think of this deck. Tell me if you think it's creative. I think it's pretty creative because you're using a deck that is just up and coming, and you're mixing it together with something that isn't considered very good, but then that not very good thing actually makes the deck thrive as a whole. And I haven't seen anyone planning or trying to mix any sort of super heavy samurais with anything. But as far as my experiments have gone with the super heavy samurais and mixing stuff, I've done super heavy volcanics, I've done super heavy yang zings, I've done super heavy pals, but now heavy metal is the latest addition to my super heavy experiments, and this one is probably the best out of all of those experiments, and I'm not counting my actual regular pure super heavy samurai deck, the pure-ish variant. So like, comment, subscribe, and please tell me what you guys think about this deck. I really enjoy it, and I think it's pretty good. If you want to build this deck, please do. It's really, really fun to play. It takes a little while to learn all the combos because there are so many of them. It is a very combo-y deck, but I'll let you guys be the judge, and see you guys on the flip side. Mirage Knight signing out.